people do this all of the time with celebrities. They'll look at someone who's rich and famous and compare and contrast their lives or the lives of their friends and family to these people who are highly atypical. It was just like, why do people do this? And I mean, it's the fantasy, and it's the thirst for success, right? And then started to think, people do this on such an important thing as relationships, marriage, kids. It hit me. They do the same thing with business. I love Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, Reginald Lewis. For those you don't know, he invented the leverage buyout. He even wrote a book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? There's so many guys that have made it massive, magnificently massive levels of success. I look at them as cursory inspiration because Bill Gates, if Bill Gates came out today trying to do what he did back in the day, he would not be as successful. He could be successful, but he would not be as successful because in the marketplace, there is such a thing as timing. Such a thing. I'm not going to say it's luck because they were engaged in building that business. So luck had nothing to do with them waking up every day, going to work, applying themselves. Luck had nothing to do with that. But the marketplace timing. And I look at and I get this question like, who do you look at for business inspiration? Who do you follow? Who do you read? And I thought about that this morning. My business heroes actually are people from my town. The first one is the guy named Youngblood. And Mr. and Mrs. Youngblood. We lived on this parcel of land that was very close to Highway 78. I didn't know it at the time, and it's just really, really interesting how all of this stuff is just kind of cycling back. Mr. Youngblood was a developer, but I didn't know it. He was just a nice old man that had this building, and their parcel was next to our parcel. And he had about, let's say, maybe 4 or 5 acres, and he had all of this heavy earth machinery, tractors, trucks. The guy I didn't know it. It was just like I was a kid, right? So we would come down from the house, go down there and sit up in the trucks and play with the tractors and stuff, like rebuilding shit, right? I didn't know that I was so close to a lot of business energy. And he and his wife, well, mostly his wife, since he had this shed, she would come there on the weekends and guess what would she do? She had a flea market and garage sales. And, that's where that seed was planted, that for some reason, when I got free of the matrix, I went back and revisited those lessons that I received as a child in terms of business. I watched the guy who was the developer. I used to sit down there because she was set up for the garage sales, and he would be there, and then we would talk, and he would conduct business, and people would come and go, and they would talk, and I'm just sitting there just absorbing this stuff. I was talking to a family friend just yesterday, someone who knew me growing up, and he was like, yeah, Youngblood was a millionaire. I didn't know that, but I was sitting there getting the lessons, and when I say, he was what I call an attainable millionaire status, because most of us can be millionaires. You may not, billionaire. Let's be real. There's some people who are going to make it, but most of us are not. It's just not going to happen because to get to that status, you've got to serve so many people. But Youngblood only served the people in that county, in Jefferson County, Alabama. That's the only people he served. The next one was a guy by Mr. Campbell. He was a pharmacist. Now, this was really, really good lesson for me because I grew up in an era where kids could go hang out at the business and people wouldn't chase you off. It's just like if you were quiet and you didn't really cause any trouble, dude would let me hang out in his store for hours, in his pharmacy. And once again, through osmosis, he had this wall and there was all of these trophies and mounted heads because dude would take hunting excursions, antelope, all kinds of huge animals. I did not realize how much money that cost. And so years later, I was like, whoa, dude was always going out there doing it. But the thing is with Mr. Campbell, he was a pharmacist in his own pharmacy. So let's look at that. Mr. Youngblood, Mr. Campbell, they were both business people who owned their enterprises, which I hung out with these people a lot For years, I would like visit, Miss Young, she stopped having the garage sales for some reason, but for years, I hung out with these people, like hanging out in the store, hanging up on the counter, listening to business transactions, listening to how they conducted their business. That's how I spent a lot of my time as a kid, listening. Then there was another one. I didn't actually go. It was Simmons Machinery, who I later on I Googled it. He was also a developer. I would had two helicopters. He was a land developer. Didn't know all this stuff is in my little small town. It's Youngblood, the Campbell Pharmacy, all this stuff is there. I didn't realize the dichotomy of where I was growing up, because there was, for a lot of people that don't know, there was a fantastic amount of wealth in Birmingham and Alabama at one point, because it was the Pittsburgh of the South. This, because two common elements needed for steel production were naturally abundant: coal and iron ore. Iron ore was literally freaking everywhere. You could walk around the yard and pick up some iron. So it was there, and these developers were taking it. But to get to the real core of what I'm talking about, many of you are looking at atypical people as business inspiration without really knowing their backstory, without really knowing what's what's the real deal. And you should kind of, still look at Bill Gates, still look at, Elon Musk, or Tesla, still look at these guys, but realize that you're better examples of more attainable success. And I'm not trying to put a ceiling on your success. I'm just trying to be realistic with you. Maybe in your neighborhood, because what helped me was I saw people I thought were normal, because I looked at them through the eyes of a child. I thought were normal when really they were exceptional. And it was those people who helped me develop a lot of my philosophies, the way that I think about business, by serving the customer, things like that. All of this stuff came to be because I sat at the feet of real business people who really started from nothing. And if you start looking at people who are more normal and really go, oh, I can do that, and I can do this, and I can do that, and I can do this, because when you look at the Bill Gates, or you look at one of these magnificently successful stars, there's more to it than just sheer ability. It's a placement, it's networks, but you can, and I will say this, you can start from absolutely nothing and get to six figures. That's very, very attainable for most people. It's very attainable. And just to give you something to really measure that with, when you get to six figures in income, you're in the top 5% of income earners in this country. If you're making 100 point something, you're in that top 5%. That means 95% of the people in this country make less than six figures. So essentially what I'm saying is, you reach that level, you've done something. And also, if you have proper financial management, you have proper financial tools, you can build something for the next generation, and you can be really doing well for yourself, because people don't really understand that that's a lot of money. And what happens is, when someone who hasn't had that kind of money gets it, it's like water through their fingers, because it's like, I can get this, when it's a finite amount of money. And that's one of the issues that happens with this type of stuff. But in choosing your business mentors, start looking at people that you can relate to. And this is something like, if you want to start a business, find someone who has that business and like say, hey, can I come in here and work one day a week free? Because this is what I did, and I didn't realize it. When I used to help Miss Youngblood set up, and I used to listen to her talk to customers and stuff, I was learning stuff for free. Actually, they would give me some money. When I was a kid, it was pretty easy to earn money. I think kids today have more opportunity to earn money, but they have to be more of a go-getter, because if you just literally walk around the neighborhood and you're just like, hey, can I do this, you get $1 here, $5 there, $10 here. That was very, very easy. It's not so easy for kids in a lot of places today, but essentially you can set your expectations in the wrong departments by looking at the wrong people in terms of your success. And that's one of the things, because I don't look at stars. I don't look at football players. I don't look at athletes. I never really looked at, it's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's never really been a framework of mine, but I have seen real business people make real money and enjoy really nice lives up close and personal from when I was a kid until, when I came to Atlanta. And that's one of the things. You've got to find people like that to hang out with. If all of your friends drink beer on Friday and all of your friends are broke and they're living in really bad financial situations, hanging out with them on Friday night is not going to improve your financial future. What I'm saying, instead of hanging out there with every Friday night, you're just like, okay, guys, look, I got to work on something. I'm hanging out with you one Friday night or two Friday nights a month, but the rest of the time I got to work on my business. So, that's a happy medium. It's not like you're saying, hey, you're my friends and fuck you, but you're my friends, but I can't fuck my future. And if they're your real friends, it's like, okay, we're getting them some of the time. There are people who will drag you down because it's more about entertainment and fun and just fuckery than actually success, which is why you have to change your circle, why you have to be around people who are going to edify you and feed into your ambition versus try to distract from your ambition, because a lot of that is tribalism. When you get outside of the tribe, when you move forward and the tribe is not moving forward, then all of a sudden you're an asshole, because it's like, oh, no, you just care about your future. And that's one of the reasons that you have to find obtainable and realistic business models for you, whatever that may be, whatever you want to do. I mean, you just have to go out and talk to these people. And let me give you some advice. Do not go, hey, can I pick your brain? Can I take you to lunch? That will work with someone who's retired, older, and has a lot of free time because they want to talk and they're like, yeah, someone's going to listen to me go on and on. Yeah, that'll work. But for someone who's really busy, they don't want you. They can buy their own lunch at any expensive restaurant they want. That's not a big appeal to them. Find out something that they need done and say, look, I need to learn some things from you. I understand. Tell me, what is something that you have that you need done that I can do? I'm not going to charge you. I just want access. I want you to work with me. Tell me some things. Teach me how to do stuff. And they're going, oh, wait a minute. He's trying to help me? That when you hear, what do you have? When they hear, what can I do for you? They're going to be like, that antenna's going to go, it's going to go up. And then all of a sudden you're going to have their attention and you're going to get that access you want, because essentially most people are playing the game wrong. It's like, what can you do for me? How fast can you do it? Give me. And they don't understand the reciprocal nature of the universe and how it works. But when you get that antenna to start going up, when you start to get them like, yeah, here's somebody that's going to talk to me. Because I have a new friendship that started about 8 months ago. Guy owns a business and he talks to me, and the other day he saw me out somewhere and he just came up to me because he knows I don't want anything from him. And he told me, he said, I can talk to you about business and I can talk to you about numbers because you have your own thing. You're not trying to do my thing, or you're not trying to leech off of my thing. You have your own thing. And that's another situation that you should set up. If you are working on getting your business together and you're really, really putting that energy out there, people will respect you. People will help you. People will be there for you. But when you're just with that, can I take you to lunch stuff? That does not work it's not going to work on me. It's not going to work on me. I don't want to go to lunch. I got too much stuff to do. And you really start thinking, if you're dealing with someone who's really, really really busy, think about what you can do for them to get in. And see, this is the thing. Once you get on the inner circle, I learned so much from Campbell. I didn't realize it until I was talking to Ernest. I was like, damn, that's where I really learned how to do that. And it's very, very important to expose your kids early as possible to the business. Very, very possible. To a degree, I think my kids got screwed because the ex-wife wasn't with that, and they missed out on a lot of stuff. And I feel really regretful for that, because the best time to bring your kid into the business is when they start walking. That's how soon you want to bring them in, because they grow up with a business mindset. They grow up. I think I posted on Facebook. I was at this buffet, and this Asian dude had his son there, and the son was learning how to work the credit card machine, and he had to be 6 or 7. So he's already developing an owner mindset of I'm behind the counter. I'm behind the counter mindset, and he's 6 or 7. And that's what you have to do. I have people in my groups, because I got one group that's just locked down. That's the reseller group. Then it's like someone posted the other day, 9-year-old daughter like out there hustling and stuff, making money, and I'm just like, this is a beautiful thing. And that's part of the business mentorship. Those are some of the things that you have to do to really get that mindset going, because it's out there. So this is what you do. Go around your town, find out some people, and learn. And this is one of the things that's in 30 days to 2,500. How to go out and meet people, how to introduce yourself to people, because it's very, very important. Someone put up a question: 30 days at 2,500 bucks. Does it work for offline businesses? That course is geared for online and offline businesses, because of the simple fact 90% of business is done offline. 90%. There's so much room for business to grow online. It's ridiculous. People are like, well, e-commerce is matured and it's no, it's not even close. Your sector may be matured. eBay may be matured. Amazon might be maturing, but I know people who have their own website who make 6 figures, and they don't get like this YouTube channel of mine. I get 100 to 120,000 hits a month. There's websites don't get that. I know one guy, his website gets about 20, 25, 30,000 hits a month, and that's because he's got it keyed up, but he's doing about 8, 9 grand a month. So it's the positioning, it's what you sell, it's your crowd, it's your essentially who is your client and what you have to sell. Because everyone gets caught up in my website's got to get 1 million hits. No, if you get 100 very targeted, very rich hits, and you have a product that sells for $100, and those 100 hits that's 10 G's a month. It's 10 G's a month. That's one of the reasons I did not predicate my business on exceptionally large numbers, because I know how daunting that is. Everyone thinks that it's their product or it's their website. No, your biggest problem online is discoverability, because everyone online is making noise. Everyone's going like, look at me, and you got to get in line. And you got to raise up, you got to make sure that their antenna is up and it sees you and you are out there. And that's one of the things that I learned from, just watching people who had businesses conduct their business. That's where the work ethic comes from. Because Youngblood, Campbell, all these guys worked. There was a guy named Fiore that my mother worked for, owned his own pharmacy. These guys worked. They put in work. There was none of this, well, we're going to see what we're going to do. No, it's like, we're going to make this shit happen. That was attitude. That was very, very predominant with all these guys. So get yourself some business friends, because another thing that happens when you're an entrepreneur and you're the only one in the family with that type of mindset, madness can ensue. You may have a very supportive family, which I'm finding to be very rare. Actually, I'm finding that there's going to be someone talking smack, someone's going to be trying to dissuade you, someone's going to piss on your parade because you had the audacity to start a business. So find yourself some friends to talk about business. I have a private mastermind group. There's only 4 of us in it, and it's not, it's just for the stuff I do, and these people do similar things. And it's very, very beneficial, because every time we sit down and talk, I come away with new ideas. So, that's something. If you don't have one, you may have to be the person to build it. And it won't be easy, because you're going to have to talk to people, and no, they may not be there. But essentially, this is just an overview to give you an idea of stop looking at people who are atypically successful and start looking for people who are typically successful. It is very much within your ability within the next 10 years to start a business today from scratch and get up to 1.2, maybe $6-7 million a year gross revenues. That's not net profit. That's not your net income. Let's be real clear about that. But your net income might be $100,000. Your net income might be $1 million or $2 at that range. That's life-changing money for most of us. Life-changing, because I want you to think about it. let's just, give you a hypothetical. You had this business for 10 years, right? And at the 5-year mark, you are at 5 million a year in gross revenues with net profits of 33%. So that's 1.5 million in profit before taxes. So depending on your tax rate, what you do, you and your account, we're talking about, unless you're just doing some stupid stuff, 700, 800,000. That's net. That's goes in your pocket. And that's if you don't have a really good accountant, and that's if you haven't set yourself up properly. Because if you set yourself up properly, your net income and money that will go to your retirement is going to be much higher. So say you have 6-7 years like that, just 6 or 7, not 10, not, the business is 10 years old, but you get to that point and you're making that kind of money for 6 to 7 years. You have a financial analyst, you have a good CPA, you have a life plan. So, that's like 3.54 million straight cash. Average person makes 900,000 to 1.6 million in their working lifetime. That's decades. That's typically 4 to 6 decades. Excuse me. That's 4 to 6 decades of 8 to 10 hours a day, 5, 7, 4 to 6 decades. Whereas if you have a business, you can triple that amount in 1 decade. Let's back the bus up and run over the bunny again and pet the people don't get mad. You start a business, you can earn 3 net earnings, not gross revenue, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a decade what regular people earn in 4 to 6 decades of work, if they can maintain unemployment that long. Because in this new disruptive economy, people are going through protracted periods of unemployment, which seriously screws up those numbers. So, just something for you to think about. Start looking at real business people with real businesses for guidance and mentorship, and leave all of this atypical stuff alone. Look at it and be inspired, but don't take it as a gospel. Some of you are looking at Bill Gates and like, yeah, I'm going to be a billionaire, but you don't have a product that's going to serve a few billion people. You haven't thought, because that's the deal. If you serve a billion people, you got a shot at being a billionaire. If you don't serve a billion people or several 100 million people, chances of you being a billionaire are kind of slim to none. That's why Facebook made Zuckerberg a billion, several 100 million. I think Facebook now has 1 billion users. There's only 6 billion of it. They have 20% of the world's population using their product. That is exceptionally insane when you think about it. And going forward, as the world becomes more networked and economies emerge, you'll create a product, and say the product's $1 a month, but you can get 3 billion people to buy your product. It's $3 billion a month gross revenue. 36 billion a year. Out of that 36 billion, depending on where you are in the equity chain, that might be 1 billion cash. Someone's going to be in that position. It might be you. Someone's going to be in that position, because this is where we're going. Because every decade, all of these countries, they're getting more and more networked. And the technology that's coming is going to just link up people. It's like you're not going to, all right, this technology is already present, but it's going to be so dope that you can write a book, then they can buy it in Bangladesh, China, Austria. Austria speaks English, but essentially, this whole thing for translating books, that shit's going to go away. It's going to be disrupted. You can write a book, and then bam, they get it on their device, and they can read it in any language, and it's going to come out the way they're supposed to. Writers, content creators, people who make movies, music, a lot of these guys are going to become billionaires because they're going to have a product that 1 billion people can buy. That's how you become a billionaire, by having something that serves that many people. Not because I'm going to be a billionaire because my mama told me I was special. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. So just some food for thought on this Friday. If you like the commentary, be sure to hit the stair steps right there. Go ahead and subscribe and get your free Hustler Mindset audiobook. Check out Speak to Glendon, and also check out 30 Days to $2,500. All right, this is Glendon. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the good side.